You are listening to Telecom, a podcast series by NTT Data, dedicated to the telecommunications industry. In our third episode of the NTT Data podcast series called Telecom, we will dive deep into how 5G technology is changing the telecom industry by giving operators the ability to dynamically tailor end-to-end solutions, but also how they plan on monetizing these new business models. Here to discuss these complex topics are Jennifer Kyriakakis, founder and chief marketing officer of Matrixx, a software that delivers a cloud-native converged charging system, CCS, and unlocks new network monetization opportunities, and Fernando Rubio, Telecom Executive Director at NTT Data Europe and Latam.
Good morning, Jennifer, and welcome to our NTT Data podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start talking about 5G and how it's changing the telco industry. You know, 5G provides more bandwidth, low latency, but at the same time, it will allow telco operator to explore new business model based on partner ecosystem and B2B2X scenarios, like the one that we are going to show in the Catalyst project, where a company like us, like NTT Data, can be the provider of a MEC application, like the Grab and Go application that we are implementing in the Catalyst. Different actors like an airport, retailer can be part of the ecosystem. So in your opinion, what role does monetization play in all this scenario?
Yeah, so monetization, Matrixx really focuses on monetization, and that's really sort of the heart of how the telco, the operator, is going to get the return on the massive investments, right, that they're doing in 5G spectrum and in 5G networks. So operators are spending billions of dollars to put 5G in. And that's because, as you said, 5G is so much more than just what 3G and 4G had to offer around more feeds and more speeds, right? So what 5G gives operators the ability to do is to get out of the kind of historical role they've played, which is delivering best effort services, across voice and data. And it actually allows them to tailor and to dynamically tailor an end-to-end solution for a specific customer, for a specific type of device, or for an entire industry segment. So like you're saying, what the telco could offer to a large medical facility is going to be very specifically tuned to that environment, which is going to be very different than what it might offer to an airport. And because there's all of that different value and differentiation that they can bring with 5G, it's that monetization function that enables operators and the rest of the ecosystem, the partners that they're delivering with, to package and commercialize those services based on that level of differentiation and that level of value versus just the number of bits that happen to be flying over the network.
Yes, I think that you mentioned very well that they have the huge challenge when it comes to the monetization of their investment. It's not just about 5G investment. I mean, they are also investing in GPON, in a lot of new emerging network technologies like virtualization, cloudification, disaggregation. I mean, so there is a huge challenge for them for somehow monetize all this investment. And we in NTT Data we agree on the idea of moving beyond connectivity, and this is one of the topic that we are addressing in the Catalyst project. So I think that this right now is the moment for telco operator to start moving beyond these traditional services, and of course that is where monetization is going to be crucial for them. So from your opinion, which opportunities or benefits, can get telco operator when they move beyond connectivity to solve real problems of their clients, of their corporative clients mainly?
Yeah, so I think, people still think about operators from like a smartphone and a consumer point of view, but the smartphone is really a 4G era device. And the focus of 5G is not smartphones, right? It's all these emerging devices that have a very specific, they could have a specific consumer purpose, but most of them are going to have a critical business function. So that hopefully creates a huge change to how telcos think about their commercial offerings, right? So instead of just looking at it as capacity and utility, what is the business value or outcome that those connected devices are going to deliver? So you think about like FedEx, right? So FedEx delivers a service, but that service has many different pricing vectors, right? It's not just how much the package weighs. It's how fast is the package going to get there? What's the guarantee of when it gets delivered? What type of proof is required upon delivery? So think about all those different options that you have to package and price different levels of service. That's the same thing that telcos are going to go through with 5G. So automated machinery or automated vehicles in factories or airports. Early IoT devices were very much about sending small amounts of data to help maybe with diagnostics or billing or things like that. But these machines are taking in massive amounts of information and then using that information to make very split-second decisions, which could be critical to safety or critical to efficiency. And so it's that shift of kind of gaining 10% efficiency to perhaps gaining 10x in efficiency, or perhaps, having a much safer environment in which to work. And so that the value of that to the end, business or the end customer, again, goes way beyond just the value of the baseline connectivity that's needed to deliver that. So it's the value of those services wrapped up in the criticality of the business outcome that actually gives that opportunity for operators to think differently about how they're going to deliver the service.
We agree on there is a huge opportunity, but at the same time, there is a huge challenge, because you mentioned some of the potential use cases or potential verticals that can be addressed by telco operators. This is something that also is happening to us, to NTT Data, as part of our 5G offering. The question, the concern is from what to start. There is a lot of different verticals, especially in companies like Matrixx and us, that we address businesses in different regions, in different countries. Okay, so there is a lot of industries. We are addressing mining, health, manufacturing, retails, like the grab and go application, immersive experience, like the AR application for football stadium. You remember last year, Catalyst. So there is a lot of potential opportunities, and sometimes it's not easy to prioritize from what to start. So from your point of view, which should be the sector, the industries that telco operators should be addressed in the short term to start monetizing?
Yeah, so I think again it does differ per region, and there's always the differentiators in them in specific markets. But we see a lot of the earlier activity and the early opportunities in the retail sector and in the hospitality sector, especially sectors that got massively impacted by COVID and the pandemic, are the ones that are investing, to make a very strong comeback post-pandemic. So things like stadiums, things like large hotels and casinos and large hospitality places, we see those places investing earlier, and also just the level of maybe complexity of some of the devices is available sooner versus some of the more complex, I would say, mining, I think, is a great opportunity, but we're further away from being able to serve those very remote locations. I think some of the autonomous machinery and the devices aren't there yet in terms of, being ready for the market. So I think you got to look at where the devices are ready, where the industry is ready to invest. And I think, again, retail, hospitality is probably the early sectors.
You are listening to Telecom, a podcast series by NTT Data, dedicated to the telecommunications industry.
Yes, and I think that telco operators sometimes they feel that they are not ready to address this kind of verticals, because they have probably the way of thinking that they need a product ready to sell to address this challenge. So, and we've been asked by telco operator, do you have a product or solution to address this vertical? And we do not agree with this approach, because I think that the problem in a specific B2B client may be different from other client of the same sector. So, in your opinion, which is, I mean, what should be the approach of the telco operator to these vertical industries when it comes to a product?
Right. Yeah, and this is where the whole shift has to take place, right? Because it's a shift. It's a shift in the underlying technology, using things like cloud, using things like product-based applications, and that has to shift the mindset, right? I mean, telcos were so used to having to have the product completely designed and locked down and tested and bulletproof before they rolled it out, right? And now with solutions like ours and with cloud resources and the ability to dynamically change the way a service behaves, given what an end customer needs, there's a lot more ability to very quickly prototype, very quickly experiment. And then, things might work, things might fail fast, and then you can sort of replan and redesign very quickly to make it work for what that customer needs. So it's not a cookie cutter anymore, because you can more cost effectively and more quickly kind of prototype and test and try and then cycle and then continuously cycle and evolve things versus have to have it all baked before you walk out the door. And that's the value, that something like this catalyst brings to the market.
Yes, I think that has been what we've demonstrated in the Catalyst project, how through the prototyping we can come up with a solution. I won't say a product, but a solution that can address this challenge of the vertical industry. So, moving to the Catalyst project, we know that one of the key aspect of the project is the monetization scenario. I mean, the different monetization flows between the different parties. So, from your experience of the Catalyst, which are the most important contribution from Matrixx? I mean, which features do you provide that make the ecosystem a perfect business opportunity for telcos?
Yeah, so the key thing is, around bringing new monetization models in from Matrixx is I think there's two elements to it. There's the concept around adaptive pricing or parameter pricing for different types of resources. And then there's also a real-time visibility aspect, the ability to exist in a real-time environment, to surface all this data in a real-time environment. So I'll kind of talk about those a little bit separately. So what we do in the Catalyst is we bring an adaptive pricing capability for the edge-based resources, for any of those services that are actually based on real-time load utilization or based on external network conditions that are provided by the orchestration platform. So as the environment changes, the pricing changes for the end customer. And then also bringing that type of pricing to things that weren't necessarily in the realm of chargeable events before for the operator, right? So provisioning, upgrading, downgrading slices or MEC resources, those actual orchestration events, charging for those as well. So it's a different type of way that they can package and price the services. But then all of that is exposed to not just the end customer, but also the partners and the whole ecosystem, so that people across the ecosystem, companies across the ecosystem, have that information and can understand what the utilization is and what the profitability of the services are.
Yeah, I think that the scenario that we are showcasing, require this kind of IT capabilities to make feasible these monetization flows, as you mentioned very well. But if we go to the Matrixx ebook, 10 ways to monetize B2B2X, you mentioned several use cases, also IT capabilities. But if you have to select the 3 key IT capabilities that a telco operator should have in order to monetize this kind of B2B2X ecosystem, which one will you select?
Which one?
which 3 ones?
Oh, which 3? Okay. Yeah. So I would say, I would say firstly, just the whole, the progress that operators have made with digital transformation. I mean, they focused a lot over the past few years on the consumer side and mobile applications. And I think first they need to get more work done on the enterprise side, right? And the partner side in terms of enabling self-service and marketplace environments and the digital transaction flows and the digital customer journeys to the enterprise and marketplace side of the house. So I think that needs to be in place. And then I think it's about, having the ecosystem work together. So understanding that there are different features and functions that are going to enable this. Monetization being one of them, of course, having a modern monetization system to actually bring the business models to life, but also having the monetization system and the orchestration system and the engagement layer, all talking to each other through APIs and through service-based architectures so that all these things can work in concert, right? And that's sort of the underlying of how they're going to get to that digital transformation to begin with.
I think that this ability to integrate, to put together different capabilities is also something crucial, no? To when they are in their journey to the cloud and open BSS. So we totally agree with that. So I think that we are running out of time. So just one last question. The catalyst is about innovation, and this is what we tend to do in the Catalyst project. But from Matrixx point of view, what's innovation?
Yeah, I think from our point of view, innovation, it has to deliver a magnitude, like a 10x improvement, right, to a business problem. And I think that's where you have to think about innovation. Does it fundamentally change the business outcome or the way that the end customer buys, consumes, and gets value out of a product? You have to start from that side of it, and then whatever re-architecting or technology evolution happens underneath to support that change. If that change isn't in the hand of the user, if it doesn't fundamentally change the way that they do business, or even, from a consumer perspective, maybe the way that they experience a concert in a stadium, then it's not innovation. Innovation has to start with the outcome and not start with the technology.
Okay, but that's all for today, Jennifer. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, for sharing Matrixx vision around 5G and around the Catalyst. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As telecom operators invest massively in 5G technology and its multiple applications, maximizing the return on these major investments is on the agenda of most telecom executives. Today, we were joined by Jennifer Kyriakakis, founder and chief marketing officer of Matrixx, and Luis Fernando Rubio, Telecom Executive Director at NTT Data Europe and Latam, for an insightful conversation about the new business models stemmed from the 5G technology and other advanced technologies, but also how software companies like Matrixx have the capacity to help CSPs with their monetization schemes. Join us for our next episode of the NTT Data Telecom podcast series, where we will dive into how to drive innovation for CSPs through an open horizontal edge business platform for multi-vendor environments.